What does innovation look like in the hobby and in card shops? Well, this guy, Mark Amarant, has something to say about it. We're in his card shop, AA Mint Cards in Cooper City, Florida, and we're about to find out more about the innovations he has put in place to move forward the sports card hobby. Mark, welcome to the Geoff Wilson Show.
Thanks for having us today.
Yeah, I appreciated it, and I'm thrilled to be here. This is super cool. I know this card shop for you and for your son, Aaron, has been a long time in the making. You had a card shop previous to this, and then you started working on iteration 2.0, which we are sitting in here today. The paint still smells fresh. This shop is so new.
Yeah, it's actually a bit of a dream come true. This shop is 4 times bigger than the last shop that we had. Plenty of room, plenty of areas for people to stretch out, look at the different cards, get their cards graded, and sell in private, as opposed to in one table at the back of the store where you have everybody doing their breaking, everybody doing their eating lunch, and everybody doing their grading. So we're glad to have the extra space.
Well, I'm glad business has been good enough for you to be able to expand this way. I got to visit your old shop a couple of years ago, and I was really excited to come back when you opened up this one, because I know you've put a lot of really innovative things in place. And we both were at the Tops conference a couple of months ago, where there was a lot of discussion about the future of card shops and how card shops can reinvest to make their presentation better, to make the experience for collectors who come into the shop better. And you're already ahead of that trend. You've done a lot of things in this shop that are unique, that you don't see in other shops. And of course, people can see from the camera behind how forward facing the design is, how modern and futuristic the design is. So I want to dig into some of that, because I think as our viewers and our listeners are thinking about where's the hobby headed, where are card shops headed, what is Topps expecting card shops in the future to look like, a lot of the answers to those questions lie in this store. So let's talk through this a little bit. So you had your other card shop. You had not enough space. Business was really booming. Business was really good. At what point along that journey, did you start to think to yourself, man, we got to open up another card shop, and when we do, I want to take this thing to the next level?
About a year after we opened the initial store, we knew we were out of space and we needed more room.
And what year did the previous store open?
Previous store opened in 2021.
Okay, so you opened as part of that kind of pandemic boom, and then you were only about a year in, 2022. Now, in some ways, the sports card hobby was starting to cool off a little bit, but you were saying business is only growing and picking up, and you want more and more.
Yeah, we looked at it a different way. We didn't look at it as we were just selling this product or that product. We looked at it as we're a full service store. Whatever the customer needs across the board, we're pretty much, and I hate to say this like everybody else, but the Apple Store of card shops, where we are providing a premium collector experience to whoever walks through the door.
Yeah, well, from a design perspective, that is unquestioned, right? Like, there's a lot of design elements of the store that remind me of walking into a very modern shopping experience, a very modern retail experience. There's elements that certainly remind you of an Apple store. You walk in here and you feel like it's got somewhat of a similar vibe. So I certainly understand the analogy there. So you're about a year in to your previous shop, business is good, you're starting to plan this one. What were some of the things that you started kind of thinking about right off the bat? Like, man, I really, having now the opportunity to kind of redesign the shop, I really want this to be in the new version of our shop.
Well, first of all, we needed to expand the grid system. So the grid system that we came up with, well, we had the technology. We filed for our patent with the USPTO, but we really needed to expand the number of cards we were showing. More out of necessity at the first store, because we didn't have as much space, where today we're showing well over 1,000 cards on the grid system. It's important that the technology that we had allowed us to be multi-channel, so that we can show the same card, the same graded card, not only in store, but also on eBay, on MySlabs, on our website, and then anywhere else where we wanted to add for visibility on that card.
Right. And when you talk about your grid system, you're talking about the cards on the wall, right? So you've got these big wall displays and they're hooked up. You've got a QR code and it hooks into this whole entire thing. So explain this a little bit more to people who might not be familiar with what you've built here.
Well, the system itself is called the grid system, the Graded Retail Interactive Display. And what this does is it allows the customer to come in and really have full visibility and transparency into everything that we're doing. Whether it's submitting cards for grading with us or whether it's looking at the price and the photos, high-res photos of the cards, they're going to be able to see everything by scanning the QR code. And it doesn't matter whether they scan the QR code in store or buy it from our website or buy it on eBay, they're going to have access to that card, allowing us to retail it everywhere. The way that we built this software, we can go as wide as we want to as many channels as we want. So as we look to add to our retail capabilities, whether it's streaming or whether it's on Amazon or Rakuten or having store number 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the future, we can take that same unique card, because remember, every graded card has essentially a card identifier on it, or VIN number, if you will. So every single graded card is a one of one in our system, and we are pulling it up by serial number and displaying it everywhere. The beauty of how we've designed this with the hub and spoke method is that everything is kept in the hub, and then it is displayed out to all of the spokes with the pricing, with the image of the front of the card, the image of the back of the card, and the pop report along with the price. Everything is contained. All of the data is housed in the hub.
Mm-hmm. And so in the store, when people are shopping, they're scanning the QR code, they're getting the information there. Same information they could then find on your website, on eBay, on any other place you decide to kind of disseminate that data to.
Yes, and we've all heard stories of how people will sell multiple items of the same item, and then you end up with an upset customer. What this allows us to do is anytime one of these items are sold and on any spoke in any one of our channels, we immediately get a notification, and then within 3 seconds, it's down from all of the other channels. Mm-hmm. So you can only sell one card one time.
Right, which is important. And then I suspect you pull it off of the display here in the store, right, as that happens, if somebody buys it online.
We get the emails as it happens. We walk around and pull them down.
So talk about the patent. You mentioned applying for a patent involving some of this technology. What have you created here that is what the patent is based on?
The patent's based on the ability to go omni-channel into a display that was custom built for graded cards. So we started in the card world with the ability to not only display them here, but display them anywhere. The patent will also be reviewed by the USPTO, and then once it's approved, we think it has other applications beyond the card world that we'll be looking into. So first step is to get it issued. We're about a year to a year and a quarter into it. It's about a 2.5 year process.
Interesting. Very, very cool. So that's how you're displaying your graded cards. Talk to me about the wax, because another thing that when you walk in this shop, something that you immediately see is the breadth of the wax display, not only by the number of boxes, because there's a lot of stores that have big wax selections, but by how they're organized, displayed, how the prices are displayed, how information about the boxes are displayed. Tell me the thought process behind your giant wax wall.
Well, first of all, the wax wall we had at the old store was 15 feet. This one is over 60 feet long, so at least 4 times the SKUs that we had before. We've also integrated into it video displays so that we can tell people not only what has released today, what's releasing tomorrow, but what are all of the releases coming out in the next 8 weeks. We can show this information to people so it gets them excited about future releases coming out, keeping it fresh, keeping them coming back to the store for the new releases. It also allows us to display and put out different bounties on different cards that are being pulled in store, and it allows us to direct the sales based on the product that we have in store that we're able to offer the biggest bounties on. Like right now, for example, we've got Victor Wembanyama on Prism Monopoly. If somebody hits a Wemby Money Blast, there's a $4,000 bounty in store. Or if they pull a Black Millionaire card of Wemby, it's another $4,000 bounty. On some of the Disney products, we've got a $10,000 bounty on a one-of-one Mickey Mouse. So these are things that encourage the sales, and it kind of points the customer in the direction of where the biggest risk reward is.
Yeah, interesting. That's a lot of fun. From a display standpoint, with that big of a wax wall, you walk into a lot of shops and there's piles of boxes, and it's a little bit intimidating as a customer to kind of make sense of what's what and what box it is that you might want to buy as a customer walking into that shop. Talk about how you've organized and structured this that you feel really enhances the customer experience.
Well, when the customer walks in for the first time into our store, it's a bit overwhelming. It's kind of like watching a kid walk into Disney World on Main Street. He doesn't know where to go. What's this way, what's that way? So we thought it would be best if we listed out all of the information on each one of the offerings that we have. And there are hundreds of SKUs here. So when people are looking at these boxes, we want them to know immediately who's the manufacturer, how many packs are in the box, what's the price of the box, how many cards are you going to get. So all of this information is listed. This is something that is totally different than what we did at the old store, where we kind of used the erasable marker, and that was not as professional looking as the experience that we're having here. So whether the customer is looking at our wax wall, or whether they're looking at our grid system, or whether they're looking at our eBay store or our website, we want to provide visibility into exactly what the customer's getting at all times.
Right. Interesting. Very interesting. You've got a vending machine in the store that sells packs. This, to me, when I first saw it, I was like, well, that's cool. But why, you've got a lot of customer service personnel walking around as well. So why not just put the packs in a display case, or put the packs on the counter or behind the counter where your team can sell them, versus having a vending machine kind of do the selling for you? What's the thought process and importance of that?
It's cool.
Okay.
Look how cool that is.
Yeah.
Most of the packs that we have are out throughout the store. As you can see, they're on the counters, they're in the glass displays, but the vending machine just adds another coolness layer to it. The packs that we have that are hobby packs that are more on the high end, and a lot of Pokemon packs are in that vending machine. I think it's got close to 90 or 100 different types of packs. It can hold ETBs. One thing I would suggest to anybody opening a store in the future, make sure you measure whether or not that vending machine can make it through the door before you order it.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we had a little fun with that. One of our vendors spent an extra day here and was helpful enough to get that thing through the door, as the hurricane window people had to come and remove the window, roll the machine in, and then reinstall the window. So measure twice, cut once.
All right. Well, at least it's in the shop now for your customers to enjoy.
Yes.
That's pretty cool. What else about the shop? What else do you think you've done here that is maybe raising the bar for what a typical card shop might be?
Well, when I was growing up and we were looking at cards, it was always the same thing. You'd go into a card shop, it would be a little bit dark, a little bit dingy. Usually you'd find a 1972 Miami Dolphins helmet with a few signatures on it, and then probably a Miami Heat game used basketball with some autographs on it that was half deflated. And it was always the one guy behind the counter. He knew the pricing on everything, and he's the person that you had to ask for everything. None of the data was shared. None of the information was filtered down to the other teammates who were helping the customers. So that was a real bottleneck. When we decided that we wanted to bring transparency and visibility into everything that we're doing, we decided that we wanted to make a shop that was just something so unique. Where would we want to go hang out for half a day if we were ripping cards and we were looking to buy cards and just have fun looking through bins? Whatever it is that the customers want to do with the cards, come spend a half a day here, and many do.
Yeah. And you've talked about being a multifaceted card shop. At the beginning of our conversation, you talked about having multiple elements, to what you're doing. What is the mix of kind of what you're doing today, and where are you trying to go with that in terms of offering services and different types of products to your customers?
So services is the key to any business, because if you strip out the services, what you really have is you have a commodity, and our customers can go 600 feet down the street and buy cards at Target if they want to. We're different. What we do here is we provide all of the grading services. We'll buy the cards from customers. We'll help them look at the cards to figure out if it makes sense to grade it or not. So a lot of times customers come in here and they're bummed out because we act as the speed bump and we tell them not to grade cards, because if we're looking at a card and we're looking at grading, unless you can spend $1 on grading and unlock at least $2 in value, there is no point in making that investment. And we'll have people come in here a lot of times with that box of cards from the 90s, and we have to be the ones to break it to them that, hey, these aren't worth grading. You're going to lose money on this. Don't do the grading you want. If we're looking in the 90s, we're going to look for your 96 Topps Kobe number 138, and we're going to look for your 93 Jeters on the baseball side. But for the most part, when you're in the 90s, unless it's a Jordan insert or the couple of cards we just spoke about, it's going to be a losing proposition. So we have to explain to customers why a penny saved is better than a penny earned.
Yeah. No, and I'm sure that they appreciate that, and that's part of
most do.
Most do. Sure. Sometimes, when you call their baby ugly, sometimes that can be a little rough. But hopefully most of them appreciate the fact that you're really trying to help them out and save them money.
One of the best shirts I ever saw at the National, and I don't know who has it, but I wish I would have gotten a copy of it, was a company had them made, and it said, "No, I don't want your bucket of cards from the 90s." Yeah. So,
Fair enough. Very cool. Well, talk a little bit about your history here. So you've been in the card business in various ways for a long time, right? This is actually part of your fabric as a person going back to the 1980s. In fact, you've got a picture in the store of you at a card show in the 1980s. Tell me about that and how you got started with this whole thing to begin with.
So back in the 80s, this was pre-internet. This was basically pre-everything. There were no cell phones at the time, and
yeah, there we go. Your son Aaron just brought that over for us to look at there.
This is a picture of me, my brother, and my sister. This is in 1985.
Okay.
And in 1985, I can look at this and immediately see the 84 Topps wax, the 85 Donruss wax, the 84 Topps football, which had Dan Marino, Eric Dickerson, and John Elway
rookie cards in that box.
Now, I remember those boxes.
Yeah.
So they used to put black tar X's on the outside of them when they returned them to Topps.
Correct.
And we used to get those boxes for $2 each. $40 a case. Today they're about $80 to $90 a pack.
A pack, right?
So,
yeah, I just opened one of those not too long ago. I bought a sealed box.
What'd
of
you
that.
got?
I got a Marino and a Elway rookie. Nothing above like a PSA 8 though. Unfortunately, in the box.
Well, the beauty of it and the nostalgia of it is that you can actually get the gum stain on it.
Right.
So that's not something we can do anymore.
Sure.
But if you look in the background of this picture, in addition to the Slurpee coins that we have in the back, we also have the 84 Topps Darryl Strawberry jumbo packs. And then we've got the 85 Dwight Gooden cards over there. And I see a lot of 85 Donruss. There was probably some Leaf back there. And looks like some 82 as well. I don't see any 83 Michigan test packs on there, but we've got those out on the front counter. But this is how far back it goes.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the people who are getting into the business, who are having the higher end stores, are people who loved it when they were a kid.
Sure.
And then they kind of went into regular business and normal life. And then when COVID hit, the people who loved it as a kid and were successful in their own businesses, they then came back, took what they loved in the sports cards, and applied everything that they learned from the business side into their new shops. And there's a few examples of that out there today in really nice shops.
Yeah, 100%.
You're one of them.
I'm one of them. Yeah, that was it, right? I was totally into it as a kid. I wasn't setting up at card shows the way you were, but I was going to card shows. I was going around and being more of a consumer than a dealer back then, but loved collecting. And lost touch with it for many years and was doing my businesses and all that type of thing. And then obviously when I caught the bug again, then the business side of it became really interesting to me, and opening up a shop and doing the whole thing. So
and everything that you learned in between point A and point B, and for me that was about 30 30 plus years.
Yeah.
Those are the things that allow you to do better when you come back into the hobby and you take what you've learned and apply it in a different way to make a different type of experience for the consumer.
Yeah, 100%, 100%, 100%. This time around, you get to do it with your son. So you get to do it with your son, Aaron, and this is in many ways his shop, right?
This is his shop.
Yeah.
AA is Aaron Amarant.
Right.
That's his name. It is his shop.
Right. So talk about that. How did Aaron get back involved in this, and how do you and him work together on this?
Well, Aaron and I kind of rediscovered this during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like it was yesterday. We pulled out the boxes of the 88 and 89 Fleer sets that were there. We stripped out the Jordans and the Pippins and the Reggie Millers, and we wanted to see what we had. And of course, back then we didn't know what grading was. We also went to the safe deposit box where when I was a dealer back in the day, I had bought a Gretzky rookie. It was either 20 or 25 bucks.
Yeah.
We sent it off for grading. We sent it to PSA on their Express. At the time before the shutdown, it was $75. We sent it back. It got a PSA 7.5.
Okay, not bad for a Gretzky rookie. Those are tough.
It felt like forever.
Sure.
In coming back, but it was like the normal time frame. And it sold for just shy of $3,000. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. There's a business here. Mm-hmm. Who else can we get? So immediately, who are the legends? Jordan, Kobe, Brady, right away into Jeter, right away into Ken Griffey Jr. So we went right away for the blue chip, let's just call it old timers. Not old time, old timers for me. Other people, like my dad would say, Mickey Mantle
Sure.
and Jackie Robinson are the old timers. And then you get the dads come in and everything that they're talking about is, oh, my mom threw away my cards, or I had this and I put it in my bicycle spokes, or I flipped it against the wall. I mean, how many times have you heard that story?
Sure.
Every day, right?
Times. Yep.
It's always the same thing. It's either my mom gave away my cards, or I don't know where they went, or I flipped them, or somebody stole them from me.
That's why they're valuable.
It's the same.
That's what makes them valuable. You have to have that scarcity.
So what percent of the people that come into your shop have a card story? How many people collected when they were a kid? What percentage would you say it was?
A high percentage, although at the same time, we also do see a mix of new people that are getting into it for the first time, which is also encouraging. Like we actually have there's definitely a percentage, maybe 20, 30% that are first-time collectors coming in and just kind of getting exposed to the whole thing, which is a proof point that the hobby is continuing to grow and grow. But the majority have some connection. The majority of adults have some connection with cards in the past and a kind of a childhood stories like the ones you're talking about.
What I'm noticing is that the card collecting actually started in the northeast part of the country.
Yeah.
So anybody who's from the northeast, from that whole Boston, Connecticut, New York, those are your card collectors.
Yeah.
That's where it really started back in the 50s, where if you talk to somebody who's from Seattle or Portland or the West Coast, not as much, but now it's everywhere.
Yeah.
One of the things that we're noticing in the store is Pokemon is everywhere.
Sure.
We just recently became a Pokemon Go stop.
Okay.
So don't ask me how it works.
Right.
I can barely spell Pokemon, but the kids are nuts for this.
People are coming in and capturing capturing Squirtle and their Pokeball. Yep, I know it.
It's nonstop.
Sure.
It's every day, and there's days where Pokemon just takes over the store. Mm-hmm. And these Pokemon customers are just as passionate about their cards as the sports card collectors. They also need the same services. They want to buy the raw cards. They want to grade their cards. They want to know what their cards are worth. So it's really the same exact thing with a different widget.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Yeah, it's a lot of fun passion in that community as well, for sure.
Well, we're fortunate that we have some really, really good teammates on the Pokemon side. Mm-hmm. Markel, who has been with us now for a year and a half, started with us at the original store. He's now traveling to Collecticons and buying for the store. So it's adding a new wrinkle to everything that we do.
Well, and so with this location where you're placed here, you're in Cooper City, Florida, so we're close to Fort Lauderdale. And not too far of a drive up from Miami, and all the whole South Florida area, obviously very, very populated. To get down from Boca Raton or even West Palm Beach, I imagine you have people come down from. But specifically on the street that you're on, you're right next to a Culver's. ice cream, place, and you've got, I noticed the side of your building says Pokemon in really big letters pointed directly at the Culver drive-through. I'm sure that was intentionally done, I would imagine.
We just didn't know where to put the sign,
Right,
so we
right.
figured that would be a good spot
Right.
for it. They have a lot of cars going through here every day. Fortunately, my businesses in the past have taken me through Wisconsin, where I knew what Culver's was. When I heard that there was one opening here, we jumped on it because I knew what the demand was. We knew how big it was going to be down here. And we're very fortunate because we're literally 5 minutes from the Guitar Hotel down the street.
Yep.
And then we're 6.5 miles north of Hard Rock Stadium. So we're at the intersection of Hard Rock and Hard Rock. So
Yeah, good place to be. Good entertainment options all around. Well, where do you see yourself taking this? You mentioned, with the patent that you've applied for and some of the unique things you've done in the store. You mentioned, store 2, 3, 4, 5, as you mentioned that kind of in passing. Is that the goal here, or where do you see AA Mint evolving in the future?
you're gonna have to ask the boss.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to ask the boss because he's getting ready to take this to a whole nother level. And when you start talking with him, he'll probably share where he wants to go with it.
Okay.
I'm the supportive dad who has given all of the business knowledge to my son and wants to continue to do so. But he's ready to take the reins and take it to the next level.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, I'm excited to see where you go. How do you feel this fits in directionally with a hobby overall? We obviously had the TOPS conference a couple of months ago. I talked about that earlier in the recording today, about how TOPS is obviously looking for hobby shops to level up and do more futuristic things and more modern store designs and clean and good customer experience and all those types of things. A lot of that you've got incorporated in this store. Where do you see that going, and how does that connect to what you've tried to do here?
Well, I think the days of the old dark stores are over. I think you have to be providing a premium experience for the customer. Otherwise, there's no reason for them to come to your store. If you can't provide an experience and the customer can't come to your place, feel comfortable, and be able to do multiple services, then there's no advantage and there's no reason to have a store. So as far as we see it, we want to make sure that we continue to have customers come in, leaving the 5-star Google reviews. By the way, we just passed 2,000 5-star Google reviews.
It's impressive. Very
It's
impressive.
a lot, and
Yeah.
and those are all organic. That's something that's been earned over several years. And for those people out there who have a business, have a small business, have a medium business, it is hard to get a lot of Google reviews. I don't know of any other card shop that has over even 1,000, and we just passed 2,000. So
Yeah.
we're proud of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, congratulations to you and your success, and I look forward certainly to the next chapter here and seeing where you and Aaron take everything.
Well, thanks for coming down. We appreciate you inviting us to the show.
It's been a pleasure, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this look inside AA Mint Cards down here in Cooper City, Florida. If you did, please give this video a like and subscribe, and of course, check them out as well. Mark, how can everybody follow you and find out more about your shop?
If you want to find out about the store, it's aamintstore.com, and all of our social media is at AA Mint Cards.
There you go. Guys, we appreciate you listening, and just a reminder, the full-length episode of these shows are available on YouTube under the Geoff Wilson Show channel on YouTube, as well as under the Geoff Wilson Show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So make sure to subscribe everywhere, and we'll see you soon with our next one. Take care.